Hello, traveler. Thank you for being here. We have a lovely little summer storm outside. I'm sure you can hear some of the rain. And tonight we have a new moon in Cancer. So together we will center and ground our energy and just try to connect. We'll pull some runes and some cards and see what messages are waiting for us tonight. We have 2 piles to choose from. Pile 1 is bay leaves. These are both ingredients from my personal apothecary. So bay leaves are, as you probably know, really good for writing manifestations and burning them, sending the smoke up out to the universe. Really good for setting intention. And pile 2 are these cinnamon sticks. Cinnamon is really good for protection and for joy and for just adding a little bit of extra power to anything you're trying to accomplish. So go ahead and take a couple deep breaths. And in the first couple seconds, let your intuition tell you which pile has a message for you today. And of course, as always, you're welcome to watch both. These readings are for the collective, so feel free to just take whatever resonates and leave the rest for someone else. I'll see you at your pile. All right, pile 1. If you chose the bay leaves, then this is your reading. Just put them over here. And we will go ahead and pull some runes to start off our reading. Okay, so this reading is about something that's time has come. You've been waiting a really long time for something, or it feels like it's been a long time for you, but it's actually the appropriate time that this idea, person, event, blessing needed in order to come to full fruition. And it is time for you to harvest it. It's time to take that reward. And I think either you're experiencing a little bit of hesitation, or it feels like right as you're about to accomplish something, it feels like it has almost slowed or stalled a little bit. And you're starting to wonder, is it really going to happen? Is it really meant to be? Am I following the right path? And, I don't know if, like I said, if that hesitation is coming from you, or if something slowed down or stalled, or maybe you stopped hearing back from someone, or you've been waiting a really long time for an answer on something. And it's starting to feel like basically you're having second thoughts, or you're second guessing whether it's really going to happen or whether you should do it. So if this resonates for you, stick around. I'll pull some cards to clarify, kind of go a little deeper into this. Some messages for pile 1, please. Just about to say the cards are a little slow to talk today. Awakening. This is the equivalent of the Judgment card in the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot. In this deck it's called Awakening because that's definitely a little truer to the meaning of the card. Get some more information, please. Thank you. Oh, thank you. All right. Okay. So, like I said in the runes, you know, we have Kenaz here, which is the flame, the torch. We have the Knight of Wands, which is a fire card as well. Okay. So this is really interesting. We have the King of Swords upright and the Queen of Swords in reverse. So what that tells me, as you probably know, swords are to do with logic, with your mind, with your thoughts, with your words, how you express yourself, how you communicate, the way that you reason through things. And the King of Swords is definitely a blunt, straightforward person who knows what they want, knows how to lay down the law, basically really good at setting boundaries. And the Queen of Swords is in the reverse. It can be a harshness, it can be cold, it can be a little bit tactless, I guess I would say. So I wonder if there might be someone in this situation, you know, it could be you, of course, but there might be someone in this situation that you feel is maybe being too harsh, too cold, using their too in their head, not allowing any of their heart to kind of come through. They're not listening to their heart. They're definitely more in their head space. Again, this could definitely be you, but what's lacking here is warmth. What's lacking here is soul. That's the word. Maybe this is a business deal and you're dealing with someone who's really kind of cutthroat or super, I don't know how to say it, like corporate, like really focused on the bottom line, really focused on profit, really focused on sort of things that do matter but maybe aren't the soul of what you, oh, the Hermit, yeah. So you're really feeling, maybe this is what the delay is. You're feeling the need to pull back and reevaluate. Maybe you're realizing that somebody that you're working with or in a relationship with or dealing with has very different priorities than you, or is in a very different place in their moral evolution, I guess. Their journey. Maybe this is you. Maybe you feel like the person that you're dealing with is being too soft about something. Maybe you feel that there's a little bit too much of like a dreamy, floaty sort of approach, and you're like, no, this is serious. Like, we have to. You're being very rigid, very logical, very linear. You're like, we have to approach, this is how you approach this. It's step 1, step 2, step 3. There doesn't need to be all of this, like, you know, hemming and hawing and talk about, like, it's almost like enough talk about the concept. It's time to actually do something. Now, again, I don't know if that's you or the other person you're dealing with, and it doesn't need to be business related, but it sort of lends itself to that kind of dynamic. But if it's a relationship, then that's, you know, a message to maybe reevaluate, I guess, what you want that relationship to be in your life and what you're trying to get from that relationship, what needs it's filling, and are you maybe accidentally putting it in the wrong place? Like, are you making your relationship a business transaction? That's such a weird message, but that's what came through. I don't know if this makes any sense to you. But there's definitely just a difference of values here, or at least at this time, and you're feeling the need to withdraw from it. You're feeling the need to pull back, maybe spend a little bit less energy or allow a little bit less energy for others, and kind of keep your own counsel and kind of put a wall around yourself for a little bit. Maybe you're thinking about, you know, if this is some sort of business or creative project, maybe you're thinking about like, oh, I should have just done this alone. I thought I needed this other person, but actually it's making it way more complicated to have them in the mix. And if I was doing this by myself, then I wouldn't have to be running something by the other person all the time, or getting someone else's 50% input when I know what I want to do and it's different from what they want. Yeah, you're being called to kind of withdraw. I mean, you have the 4 of Swords, which is rest and retreating and recuperating. It's healing, you know, it's healing, but it's healing because of burnout or exhaustion. It's kind of reaching that point of really needing to be forced to slow down and quiet down, and you know, maybe you have FOMO. Maybe you need to work on not needing to be part of everything and not needing to have a presence everywhere. Maybe you need to be okay with, you know, cultivate JOMO, the joy of missing out. You've got the Hermit here. And I'm definitely seeing, maybe I'm getting a lot of burnout messages. Maybe your burnout or you being so exhausted has led you to be a little less soft or less able to access that softer side of yourself. And you have this really harsh King of Swords energy and Queen of Swords in reverse energy, which is super cold and super like, it's almost like you don't have space or energy to worry about anybody else's feelings. And that's definitely something that can come with burnout. So maybe you've actually been taking on too much. Maybe there's been a burden that you've been carrying that's not actually yours to carry. Maybe you are overburdening yourself with needing to cater to other people's feelings, needing to make sure that maybe there's a perfectionism going on here. Could definitely see that. Yeah, let's get some advice for pile 1, if this is making sense to you. Let's get some advice for pile 1. New moon is a really good time to quiet down, go inward, do less, say less, work inside yourself and inside, just stay home and do more internal work. Okay. Yeah. 9 of Wands. Yeah, you're definitely, you've been through something. I feel like it's maybe more of an invisible emotional thing. But you're the wounded warrior here. You're sadder but wiser. You've got some knowledge, you've got some wisdom, you've experienced something and seen how it comes out, and you kind of know better now. But it almost feels like the energy I'm getting is like nobody's listening. Like you have this wisdom that was hard won. You went through a lot to get that wisdom, and you're trying to impart it, and the person you're dealing with or the people you're dealing with are not listening because they haven't been through it themselves. So, words don't teach. You can try to help others. You can try to avoid bad situations. You can try to keep yourself out of falling into another pattern, but you can't control anyone else's choices or behavior. So, That can be super frustrating. Two of Wands. You have so many wands, so many wands, so many swords, another sword. Yeah, Ten of Swords. Yeah, you're really stressed about this. I feel like you've just come to the end of your rope with something. It feels like you've tried, maybe you've tried the nice approach, and that's why we're coming up swords now. It's almost like you're just kind of out of patience, or out of, like, you're out of F's to give. You know, that could be. And I can't say that I blame you, but, you know, people evolve at their own pace. So just because you've sort of figured something out and you already know, sometimes people just need to walk that path themselves and find their own way. It doesn't mean you need to stick around for it or be there for all of those steps, but you definitely can't help anyone skip anything, if that makes sense. Temperance, yeah. Yeah, you need to ration your energy. That's what I'm getting. You need to be okay with not always giving 100%, because it's not always called for. I think that in our modern society, in many of our modern cultures, we are taught that giving anything less than 100% is lazy, selfish, or maybe it means there's something wrong with you, like you're not able, like you're not capable of doing that. But we need to re-educate ourselves that we can choose how much we give in any given scenario based on what is in our best interest and for our highest and greatest good. Does that make sense? Like, basically 100% isn't always called for and can lead to burnout. Because some situations, you know, you give that 100% and only 30% is being used or received, I guess I should say. So you're driving yourself to a burnout a lot quicker. So start working on rationing out the energy that you spend on different things and try to kind of get a system for yourself. It's not selfish to reserve things for yourself. It's not selfish to reserve your own energy for yourself. At least some of it, you know? It's put on your own mask before helping others type stuff. That's self-care is like, you know, yes, massages, face masks, baths, all that, but it's also doing this hard work of having to dig around in your psyche in the parts that you've always sort of either ignored or taken for granted, and rearrange stuff, do that hard work of changing a pattern that is in the long run damaging you. So think about pouring out portions for different things, but reserving the kettle for yourself, if that makes sense. And I think that will really start to help these alarm bells of burnout that are going on to start settling down, and maybe some of this really fiery energy, like all this wands and swords energy, will start to calm down a little bit, because you're really lacking water and earth energy, the calm, the heart, the grounding, the nurturing, the softness. You're missing that. And I sense that it's from overgiving. Yeah, easier said than done, I know. But it might just be something that you're not even aware of that's happening. And, you know, maybe even just the awareness of it can help you spot it as it starts to ramp up, or you start to notice yourself repeating a pattern and, you know, caretaking or overgiving. Maybe you can make some really small changes, set aside, you know, one day a week where you don't make any plans and you don't agree to do anything for anyone. And you're just kind of, you know, I mean, for some of us, that's not realistic. So maybe it's an hour instead of a whole day, you know, whatever it is, but it's just something to think about and kind of take a look at how it might work in your life. And I think you'll start to notice a softening. You'll start to feel a softening, and you'll start to get your compassion back for others. You'll start to get your patience back, the pleasures and the joys of life that feel like distant luxuries to you right now will start to feel more within reach. Yeah. Well, pile 1. I wish you all the best with this, and I know how this feels myself. Very much relate to this reading. So, yeah, I'm reading for you, and I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you have a beautiful, healing new moon. And as always, thanks for joining me, and I will look forward to seeing you in my next reading. Bye, pile 1. Hello, pile 2. If you chose the cinnamon sticks, then this is your reading. Put them right over here. We'll go ahead and pull some runes to get this reading started. Okay. Okay, pile 2. So the energy of this reading is that you are kind of going through a period of just kind of keeping your head down, getting things done. You're taking things one day at a time, but you are feeling like very alone. You don't have your community around you. You don't have support. You're feeling like you don't have help. I don't know if you're feeling like abandoned by someone or by a community, but there's a sense of aloneness or feeling abandoned, feeling lonely, feeling lost, feeling like you've been left behind, left out in the cold, something like that. There's some evidence that it might be, I don't want to say financially related, but it's almost like it's basic needs related, survival related. You know, this could be a job, a home, a family relationship, something that has to do with our basic needs of food, shelter, comfort, community, those types of things. So if this is ringing a bell for you at all, stick around. I'll pull some cards to get some more clarity. Yeah, definitely like almost like a wistful energy. It's not anger. There's some sadness mixed in, but it's almost like, this is kind of weird, but it almost feels like you're not surprised by it. Like it's kind of like, yeah, this is what I expected, and I was hoping maybe it wouldn't be like this, but this is how it is. Maybe this is a pattern. Maybe this is somebody that you are dealing with that does this a lot, comes and goes, or something like that. We got the Queen of Cups indicator. It's something or someone that you do care about deeply. There's emotion there. It's not yeah, okay. I do think it's likely that this is a person who maybe lets you down a lot or comes and goes a lot. Maybe it doesn't need to be romantic. Could be a friendship, a family, a family member, sibling, child, parent, something like that. But it feels like whenever they go or let you down in this way, that they take your happiness with them. So it's almost like your happiness feels a little tied up in this situation. So your happiness feels a little dependent on how this situation goes or which stage. Like this is the Wheel of Fortune cycles, things things repeat, things happen in a cycle. So wherever the part we're at in the cycle is probably the downturn of the wheel, and that's, when you don't feel good, basically. So maybe this is a person who lives far away and you don't get to see them all the time. Maybe it's not their choice. Maybe you're kept apart by distance or jobs or something like that. Maybe it's a person who struggles with some kind of addiction or issue that takes them away, or they're only experiencing symptoms of it sometimes. And it's almost like the cycle is, there's like good times and bad times. And then, when you're in the good times, you kind of have this hope that that'll stay that way. And when the bad times come around, it's like you're really upset about it, but you're also like resigned to it, because you've been through this cycle so many times that there is a part of you that's expecting it to come, even though you don't want it to. Can I have some more information about pile 2, please? Any more information about pile 2? Ooh. Cards are just a little bit squirrely. Information for pile 2. Okay, I'm not really getting any more information, so I'm thinking that you already know exactly who you are and what this situation is. Yeah. Okay, confirmation. So you might not need any more clarifying information, but what we do need is some advice. Can I have some advice, please, for pile 2? If you already recognize your situation, okay. Couple more cards of advice. Okay. Ace of Pentacles. Okay. So this advice is going to be super annoying. It is good advice, but it's very annoying to hear when you're dealing with something like you're dealing with. But basically it's definitely get grounded, ground yourself. We have the 9 of Cups here. I just feel bad saying this, but we have the 9 of Cups here, and it's basically letting you know that you need to be satisfied where you're at. You need to, that's that saying, when, just try to grow where you're planted, that type of thing. It's like make do with what you have right now, with the full knowledge and understanding that things change, that evolution happens. But what it's telling us here is that you're in a cycle where you're actually half of this equation. It doesn't feel like it to you. It feels like this other person or this other party is doing things to you. They're making decisions that are only about them, and you're having to deal with the consequences. You have to deal with it when they come back, or when everything's good. You have to kind of meet them where they're at, and then when they leave or when something goes downhill, you're supposed to just pivot and deal with that. And it feels like you don't really have a say, but there is a hidden half of this dynamic. This person is feeding off of you in ways that you can't see. So there is conflict that you are contributing to by, I don't know, it might be energetically, it's probably very subtle, you probably don't even know you're doing it, but there are subtle patterns and things that you do that are the other half of the yin yang to this person's behavior. You're not responsible for their behavior, you're not causing their behavior, but there's something between the two of you that you've created, a co-creation that works this way. It's like a machine where your cog fits into their cog, and it causes this action to be possible. So it's not necessarily about figuring out what you're doing that's contributing, or that's what you're bringing to the table. It's more about breaking that cycle and shaking up the routine of how that works, and observing the changes that come from that. So by focusing on being okay and satisfied with whatever is going on, no matter what, then you reframe your source of happiness to yourself and to something within you, and then it's safe from interference by others, if that makes sense. It doesn't need to be this like wild ecstatic joy. In fact, the advice is to kind of quiet down, retreat, protect yourself, definitely simplify, maybe need less for a moment from this relationship or from this person. Focus on the small, very simple things that bring you a sense of contentment and peace that have nothing to do with this person. It's basically regrounding, recentering, creating your own stability within yourself that, it's not going to feel the same as these like wild peaks, relationships or situations like this can have peaks and valleys where everything's just so deliriously amazing that it's kind of addictive, and then the drop is like so low because you were so high with that other counterpart of it. But what this is encouraging you to do is to come down to just sea level and just walk along level for a little bit and start to get comfortable with a simpler type of joy that isn't like a rush or a high, and allow that to just basically build a house of contentment and peace and stability around that little tiny candle. Build your house around that instead of this huge bonfire that burns really bright and then, burns everything down. It's more about the small, controllable, or control is not a good word, but manageable, sort of reliable, positive feelings that you can nurture and you can protect, regardless of what anyone else around you is doing. And that's just the start. Like, so that if you start to do that, what you'll notice is that it will interrupt the pattern and the dynamic that's been going on here that you're 50% of. So we can't control other people. We can only control ourselves and what we bring to the table. So, but once you bring something different to the table, and it's not this pressured, forceful thing, it's a fundamental internal shift, very subtle. But once you start bringing that to the table instead of what you're bringing now, you will notice the dynamic change. And you will start to see growth. You'll start to see evolution. You'll start to see a calmer, less intense feeling dynamic that will allow you to make decisions on your own boundaries and your own relationships from a place that isn't as desperate, and it will be stronger. You will be stronger. The hardest thing is to let go and try it. The hardest thing is that decision to just kind of let go of trying to control something that you feel really strongly about, feel really passionately about. Just letting go of needing to control that or needing there to be a certain outcome. That's the hardest part. And once you do that, then you kind of clear all of those cobwebs and debris away, and you can start rebuilding your house around your little candle. Yeah, it's not always easy to do, but it is super rewarding. And you're going to love the power that you get back when you do that. So pile 2, I wish you the best. I wish you luck with this. It's a new moon, so a really good time to start a new habit, to look at ourselves, to look inward. And I will be rooting for you as always. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in my next reading.